So, story time, part one. I survived a murder attempt. Um, this is the story of me being stabbed 6 times by my ex. Now, wait, because that's a lot. Let's take a deep breath.
So I want to know, like, two traumatized people getting together, or if one traumatized person comes into a relationship, and that mean a disaster for the relationship.
Um, this boyfriend at the time of mine, he had a bit of a troubled past, to say the least. Um, I was aware of it, thought that I could be some type of superwoman healer and fix.
Situations be different. It depends on who's involved because, sometimes it be the person trying to heal somebody and they got a lot of hurt themselves.
Stay the fuck right there.
Darian, I'm just trying to get away from you because you're being aggressive.
I asked you to stay right there.
Darian, you're being aggressive.
Pressure on my back, whole time. The pressure getting caused pain, carry one.
So, story time, part one. I survived a murder attempt. This is the story of me being stabbed 6 times by my ex. Now,
Come on, man.
wait, because that's a lot. Let's take a deep breath. Um, that's a lot. So, anytime I share this story, it's always first and foremost for advocacy and educational purposes, because it is domestic violence. It was domestic violence, and I know that's a very sensitive subject for a lot of people. And I always, just want to spread awareness. I have done that, speaking on panels, news specials, big spaces, small spaces. But I don't know. I just wanted to continue to do that and do it in a relatable way, by sharing this story. So, um, this took place in my hometown of Shreveport, Louisiana, where I'm originally from.
Before she goes all the way into it, right? Relationship trauma is a real thing. So here we talking about relationship trauma and how it affects people in their future relationships. So right off the back, right, this is a story about a young lady. She got stabbed 6 times by her boyfriend. Now we can come to the conclusion that bro probably already had some trauma within his home and something was wrong with him.
Emotional damage.
So I want to know, like, two traumatized people getting together, or if one traumatized person comes into a relationship, and that mean a disaster for the relationship. I'm gonna let this young lady continue, but that's what we're gonna get into today. Stay with me.
And this happened in 2015. So, my then boyfriend, we were like high school sweethearts, um, on again, off again. I was 20 years old when this took place, for context, because, I was young at that time. I thought I had it all figured out, thought I knew me a little something, but I only had the experience that I had at the time, which was that of that 20 years. So, I was a student at the world famous Grambling State University. I lived there, had an apartment, me and my then best friend. Life was great. Um, this boyfriend at the time of mine, he had a bit of a troubled past, to say the least.
We do not care.
Um, I was aware of it, thought that I could be some type of superwoman healer and fixed him, but that did not happen ultimately. So I was living there.
I think a lot of girls be taking on that role to think they could be a superwoman healer. I listen. I might have been in a position where somebody thought they could heal me. Situations be different. It depends on who's involved because, sometimes it be the person trying to heal somebody and they got a lot of hurt themselves. A lot of that stuff be like feeling sorry for the other person. I want to see what's her perspective on it though. There's always two sides of the story though.
In my apartment and resting, going to school, doing what I was doing, living my life. He came to live with me, and it's so crazy because I feel like it's another reason I was compelled to share right now. It was like around this time, like to date. Like this is the actual date that we like, you know, got back together. Well, not got back together. We were together. But this is when he came and started like living with me. So we were in each other's physical, space. So I very quickly realized, like, it was a matter of weeks, like, within him coming to live with me, like, something wasn't right.
Got him! Got him!
But was very much in love, thought, this was the person that I was gonna spend the rest of my life with. And so I was like trying to find ways to like work it out, see what we could do, but it just wasn't working. And so we came home that weekend because, like I said, I was in school, but I used to travel home on the weekends. We came home that weekend, and I, kind of just broke the news to him, like, I don't think this is working out. I need some space. When I go back to school, you're gonna stay here. So he of course was like upset, but this wasn't like your traditional like domestic violence situation. So where this person, like, there had been a history of violence. He used to like hit me, beat me. Like, that wasn't our thing. If anything, it was more so like emotional abuse and like manipulation and stuff like that. And so he was obviously upset about it.
Yeah, traumatized people often use manipulation. Like, that's another form of being traumatized, being manipulated. You gotta learn it from somewhere. Her name on TikTok is Anna Devoa, AUNADEVOA. Go follow her on TikTok because this one is like hitting right now. But we all know that you gotta heal yourself before getting in relationships, right? We all know to heal our traumas before dealing with somebody, right? I'm quite sure we all know that. She was a young lady. She was 20 years old. So at the time, we gotta give her a pass. Let's keep it real. How much did most of us know at 20 years old?
He really was like trying to make me feel bad, so to speak. Like, you really gonna do me like that? Where am I gonna go? Putting all this responsibility on me. Mind you, I'm a 20-year-old young woman. And I was conflicted because, like, I did still, like, love this person, wanted the relationship to work, but at the same time, I knew that it wasn't working. Never in a million years did I think this was going to happen the way that it happened. Um, call it naive, call it just like not really being aware. And like I said, I was young, I was in love. So I can remember one of my friends was over at the time, another one of my best friends at that time. Um, I called her over kind of like as a buffer, like, um, and because she and him were close, whatever. So I just remember this eerie feeling, and we all have heard of like a woman's intuition. Girl, listen, trust it. I just felt like eerie about it all. Like, it was like something just like clicked in him, and it made me kind of like, But again, I wasn't thinking like violence. I wasn't thinking of it going that far. Um, but to my surprise, it did. So I remember us being in my parents' room. I had already broken up with him, kind of let him know, like, hey, it's not working. I remember I had written him a letter, and I was like, I'm leaving you. And then we talked about it in person.
I noticed that when it comes to relationships, it's always one party leaving the other or something to that effect when violence start breaking out. Y'all let me know in the comments, is that correct? I believe that most of the time from, what I know about relationships and when, things break out violently, it's usually from infidelity, somebody cheating, or one person leaving the other person.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
You know what I'm saying? Bro probably had his heart broken. You know what happens? He probably went to a psychotic state. He ain't know what to do with himself. She seemed like a pretty girl. She seemed like she was on her way somewhere. She was doing something with her life. So probably felt like he was never gonna get nothing like that again. So, but this is crazy.
Um, and we were in my parents' room, and it was just like this hostile, like, type of situation. Like, the energy, everything that was coming off him was like, and I remember him telling me, like, you better talk to me like a man. Like, stop talking to me like I'm your child. Like, talk to me like I'm a man. And I'm like, well, you need to act like a man. So, um, right when things started getting like a little bit more intense, the garage came up. We were in my parents' room, and their bedroom was like right there by the garage, and it was my dad coming home, and so it like stopped everything. So, cause I'm like kind of stuck like this. He's over there. Like I said, it was very intense. But the garage came up. My daddy was coming home, so we left out of their room.
As a girl dad, I gotta ask this to my girl dads. This is serious. What would you do in that situation? And if something like that happened to your daughter, I don't know.
Get out of here, man. Shit, I'm saying.
I don't know, man. I ain't promoting no violence, man. We promoting all YouTube guidelines. But man, I don't know about that one. That's crazy. This is somebody's daughter here going through this, man. You gotta watch for dudes like this who be extra thirsty.
We don't do that here.
Back down the hall. So at some point, my friend ended up leaving. Like, she went to go do something really quick, kind of like trying to give us a little bit of time and space to talk, whatever. And he went outside. I ended up going outside too. And he was like, "Let's take a walk. Like, go with me for a walk real quick so we can talk."
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap.
That wasn't out of the norm, but I remember it was late. But I'm like, okay, cool. Like, let's go ahead and like talk about this, try to end things off on, like a good note. Because in my mind, I'm thinking like, okay, you know how we are. Like, us girls, like, I'm gonna break up with him. That's gonna make him get it together type of situation. Or, like, let's give each other a little space, a little cool off period. I'm kind of just trying to like wake him up, not really thinking, So we go on that walk.
She went on the walk with bro, and he did what he did. I'm just glad she survived. My biggest question with all of this is like, how does a one young lady like herself respond to this? How would she get into another relationship? Y'all don't think on some levels that has like traumatized her and has changed her? She got stabbed 6 times. Wow. What I would like to understand is like how long does it take a person when they involved with these type of like strenuous and verbally abusive relationships and physically abusive relationships? Do they recover, or what steps do they take to recover before getting into a relationship?
Emotional, damn it.
Because if traumatized people keep getting in relationships with each other, what is really the outcome? You know what I'm saying? I think sometimes we got to start digging to the root of some of these things. Like, trauma is a real thing, and two people getting together with trauma is a bad thing. One person getting into a relationship with trauma is a bad thing.
Stay the fuck right there.
Darian, I'm just trying to get away from you because you're being
I
aggressive.
asked you to stay right there.
Darian, you're being aggressive.
Stop it. Get some help.
Okay, so I guess I'll start from the beginning. So I met him in 2017. We started talking in 2017. I was 25 at the time. A little bit of backstory that'll help you later. At 25, I had already had 2 kids.
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
I was married. I got married at 19. Me and my now ex-husband separated when I was 22, but we didn't get officially divorced until 2019. So we got married in 2011. We separated in 2014, but we didn't get officially divorced until 2019 because I had to serve him by publication because I couldn't find him.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
He disappeared. But that's a whole nother story, but just keep that in mind for later. So I had 2 kids already. Met him. He slid into my DMs on Instagram.
Got him. We fucking got him.
And because he had to go to football camp because he played football for the college that we attended or whatever not. So I met him, and my first impression of him was, okay, he wasn't the best looking thing. He was kind of ugly because he was fat, and it was just. But I was like, okay, I don't look at people's appearance. I'm like, we've been talking, we've been vibing, we cool, all right, yeah, that. When I got back, I still didn't have a place to stay. I was looking for a place to stay while I was in Williamsburg, but yeah, it fell on deaf ears. But to try to get my stuff out, I'm looking at the slip and the storage unit number. We go to that number, none of my stuff is in there. I'm like, what the fuck is my stuff?
Got him.
He was like, I put it in here. I was like, okay, where's my stuff? And no, before you say anything, I did not go check on my stuff prior to, because I had all my essentials with me, because like I said, I was leaving for annual training in Williamsburg for 2 weeks, so I had to pack this stuff anyway. So I already had that stuff. But back to that, it took us 2 hours to figure out which unit he had put my stuff in, because he put my stuff in the wrong unit. So we get to the house. I pull up in the driveway. I back into the driveway, and they started unloading the stuff. And as they're unloading the stuff, I still had my little attitude.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you something.
We don't care.
Like, I still had my laps because I'm pissed. I'm like, because for one, don't get in my face. Why are you in my face? So because I still had my attitude, he was telling me I need to lose my attitude, and I was just like, nope, I ain't losing nothing. So he come up behind me and like push me against the wall, and we like staring face to face. And I see his friend standing in the doorway. Look, turn around and go back outside. I'm like,
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
Yeah, but I ain't gonna hold you in the black community, in the black and brown community, it's so much strife sometimes. And it's like, how do you get somewhere with that? Like, she openly admits that she had an attitude and he asked her to, cut the attitude down or whatever. And she's like, no, I ain't cutting my attitude. Whatever the situation is, you know what I'm saying? But I think combativeness is applauded too much in the black community. Like, you don't need to be that combative. You don't need to act like that. That shouldn't be the MO. Yeah, you know what I mean? That shouldn't be the norm. When this happens, man, guys and girls can't get it together despite what's going on. They just, it's like two can't get rights in a relationship.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
You know what I'm saying? And this is what we kind of gotta stop, like, right? We gotta kind of figure out a way to fix this. It is what it is right now, though.
and I looked, I'm like, you better not hit me. He didn't. He backed up, and then he was just like, you know what, I'm gonna go. I said, okay, go. like go. You can go. Him and his friend, they go. That was that. Later on the next day or whatever now, when everything calmed down, we talked about it, and like we moved past it. Like moved past it. And maybe like a few months, a month or so later, he introduced me. No, that wasn't a month or so later. That was like because it was homecoming.
We do not care.
I think homecoming was in October, but yeah, in October of 2017, I met his dad for the first time. No other female has ever met his dad, and that was one thing that we always talked about. He was just like, no female has ever met my dad, but I'm gonna introduce you to my dad. Like you're gonna be the one, because I always told my dad that I'm only gonna introduce him to the person that I'm gonna marry.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap.
And I'm like, okay, because like I said, I was already 2 kids in, and I told him, I was like, I'm not, in the beginning, I said, I'm not having another child unless I'm married. I'm like, I gotta be married. It's like, because I did not see my life like this. I have to be married to have another child. So he introduced me to his dad. When he introduced me to his dad, like after the homecoming game, me and him both walked up to his dad and his brother.
Am I bugging? Can you still demand like that after you have two kids already? You could just still demand like, yo, I'm not having no more kids unless I'm married. Like, well, I guess that's a standard you can have for yourself. I don't know, like, he went for that. She should have knew something was up when bro went for that. I don't know. Maybe y'all let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe. You already know the vibes. This is Frederick the May. I come with different layers, and I never forget to say my prayers, and I hope you don't either.
He started talking to his dad, and his dad did not acknowledge me. He didn't look at me, nothing. I was just standing there. And he was just standing there. And then he finally turned to me. He's like, Dad, I want to introduce you to my girlfriend. And his dad like, oh, girlfriend. And I was like, hey, and that was that. We all went to dinner, boom, and that was that. So maybe about a couple of weeks later, we are in my car, and he had just picked me up from work. Mind you, I had a job, he did. Um, I had a car, he did. I had a license, he didn't.
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the is that?
So he drove my car and dropped me off at work. Before you say anything, I know, but I was young, so shut up.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you
We don't care.
He dropped me off at work, and when he picked me up from work, I got a random message from a female. She was just like, hey, I found your page because I noticed that such and such was liking all your photos. This was back on it when on Instagram you could see when you like somebody's, when another person liked your photos or whatever. Not. She was just like, yeah, I seen him liking your stuff, and then I saw that y'all got a bunch of pictures together on your page. So I turned to him and I showed him the phone. I was like, who is this?
Stay the fuck right there.
Darian, I'm just trying to get away from you because you're being aggressive.
I asked you to stay right there.
Darian, you're being aggressive.
I'm gonna keep it real. A lot of these story times and all of that, they one sided. These stories is one sided. What I'm really trying to understand is like when young ladies or young men deal with trauma within their relationships, like how do you benefit? Like I believe that what we need to do, what should take place is that healing has to happen as a person before you get into a relationship. You got to deal with yourself, you got to deal with your trauma, and you got to deal with whatever been bothering you. Sometimes a lot of traumas come from your parents, so you should deal with that before getting into a relationship. Me, did I do that? No. I'm a human being and I fell short of the glory of the Lord, and I got into a relationship before healing a lot of my trauma, so I still had a lot of problems in a lot of ways.
Stop it. Get some help.
But I feel like I'm mature enough to work through some of these things. And, as time goes on, I'm getting a lot better as far as how to communicate, you know what I'm saying? Because I speak stern, and a lot of times I'm told I'm mean. And in my opinion, I'm not mean, but I'm also not a young lady. You know what I'm saying? The first thing, in my personal opinion, that has to change is I believe that relationships is so out of whack. I think men have to change first. I think men have to be the leaders in the relationship change. And I do see some of those changes happening. You see that like men ain't so thirsty for girls anymore.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
They're not like chasing as much anymore. I'm talking about fully heterosexual men. These dudes is just not thirsty. It's like it's not nothing, to admire as much anymore. And I see it all the time, beautiful young ladies and stuff like that. And when you look at them, it's like, oh, it's a beautiful thing to look at. And you just keep going because
We do not care.
you know that it's not worth it. We see the trauma that happens. We see the games that's played in relationship between guys and girls. And a lot of times, mature people of the bunch realize that it's not worth it until all of the trauma is gone and sorted out. But I think men need to lead in that change. I think the first thing that a lot of men need to deal with, especially if they grew up in like single parent homes, is really dive into that and deal with that because it is rough. Like I am becoming what I believe is a leader in leading the charge and being respectful and making things happen, being better provider, because there's certain things that women just naturally look for that came from their fathers. You know what I'm saying? And it's embedded in them. More men are prioritizing their businesses and their business goals and doing what they got to do, which I believe in 2, 3 years is going to change the shift back over to men because women are gonna always need that extra help to survive. Even if they don't need it financially, they want it. It's like an innate thing inside of them that they want a man to cater to them and give them things. It's just inside of them. So that's my conclusion. I think, if men continue to build themselves up, continuously build their businesses, and continuously get with groups that's about that, I think women's opinions and ultimately their actions will shift, and men will kind of get the power back in they court. Y'all let me know in the comments, man, and don't forget to like, subscribe, I'm Frederick the Mayor. I come with different layers, and I never forget to say my prayers, and I hope you don't either. You already know the vibes. Till next time. And I won't be missing for that long again. Stay tuned.